Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are, and welcome to another launch. This is, hopefully, we're going to see ULA launch for the first time in a while, and to tell you guys all about that, we are going to visit a little website called everydayastronaut.com. You guys know the drill. Just go to everydayastronaut.com/prelaunch previews or click on the pre-launch previews tab. Anytime you want to know anything about any upcoming rocket launches, we've got you covered. So click on here. This is the Atlas V launching NRO L101. So here's the rundown on this mission. Here we go. So the time is, it's going to be taking off in about 24 minutes here. So 5:24 Eastern, which is 22:24 UTC. The mission name is NRO L101, which is a mission for the National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO. The launch provider for this is United Launch Alliance, ULA. You guys are probably familiar with ULA. They, of course, are one of the most prolific launch providers, and they have the Atlas V, the Delta IV, and previously the Delta II. And we've been waiting to see the Delta IV launch since about August, and unfortunately that vehicle has definitely been scrubbalicious. And same with, well, speaking of scrubs, DM2 now, Crew 1 is now moved to Sunday, if you guys missed that tweet just a couple minutes ago. So you'll have to wait until Sunday to catch that. We also have a Rocket Lab launch that day, so who knows how that's going to time out. So hopefully this launch today goes off on time so that everything kind of happens in a timely manner. So we will see. So the customer for this, of course, is the National Reconnaissance Office. This is the national security. Basically, these are basically is about as top secret of payloads as we get here in the United States. The rocket launching it is the Atlas V 531. So what that means, the first number is the fairing size. So this has a 5-meter wide fairing as opposed to the 4-meter wide fairing. It has 3 strap-on solid rocket boosters but that can range from 0 to 5. And it has a single RL-10 engine on its Centaur upper stage, as opposed to the 2 that it can have. That's only launched one other time on an Atlas V, and that was for OFT-1 last year. The missions that will launch Starliner will always have 2 RL-10 engines. This particular, all other Atlas Vs that launch will always have a 1 at the end, pretty much. But there's a few more fun facts to tell you guys about this. I'll keep going here. The launch location for this is at Slick 41, or SLC 41, at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. The payload mass for this is not disclosed, but we do know that the maximum payload to GTO for this configuration is about 7,500 kilograms or so 16,500 pounds, basically. The satellites are going to Molniya orbit, which I honestly don't know much about. So these the weather today is currently 80% go for launch. That is as of a couple days ago. So, but it's still looking, I think it's still about the same today. They do not attempt to recover the first stage. ULA does not have any reuse capabilities built into the Atlas V or any of their current rockets. However, they do have some reusability plans for the engines for the upcoming Vulcan rocket, which is, of course, exciting. So the first stage is going to crash into the Atlantic Ocean, like pretty much all other historic rockets. They do not also attempt to recover fairings. That's currently only a capability that SpaceX has ever gone for, and the only company to be reusing fairings. So, yeah. The fairings are, in this case, of course, brand new. So this is a fun fact here. This is the first launch of new SRBs. These are the GEM 63s. Now, previously they were using, oh no, why did I say that? I can't remember what were the old SRBs? Not gems, not stars. What were they? Discord, help me out. Not AJ10s, were they? No, I don't know. Anyway, they were using a different. I'm totally blanking right now. Someone help me out. But this is the first time they're going to be using GEM 63s, which is the same SRB they're going to be using on the Vulcan rocket, which is awesome. Yeah. So this is the 141st all-time mission for ULA. This would be the 86th launch of the Atlas V. Now, remember, this year, the Falcon 9 actually passed the Atlas V. Yeah. AJ-60 was or was it the caster? Oh, man. Now we've got a debate. Caster sounds... Not Castor. Okay, AJ60. There we go. We've come to a consensus as a group think that it is AJ60. Thank you guys for your help on that one. That, yeah, I don't remember the last time I thought about the AJ60, so thank you guys for your help. But yeah, this is the 86th launch of the Atlas V. Again, like I said, the Falcon 9 has recently actually passed it, which is definitely noteworthy. So this is a little graphic here by Jeff Barrett with collaboration with Stanley Creative. If you guys want to know anything more about what we know about this mission, again, there's not a ton that we know, but we do have some graphics here on this website. So go ahead and check out the pre-launch preview. And of course, thank you to Austin DeSisto. Everyone say thank you, Austin, for whipping this up for us. And yeah, this is unfortunately this is never an Atlas V version that we'd ever see, the heavy Atlas V. Wah, wah. I wish that would have been so cool. But they are moving on to Vulcan. So how is everyone today? I hope you guys are doing good. We've had a lot of things happen recently. Hang on. Just gonna grit this real quick. So yeah, how is everybody doing? Of course, like you guys may know, we've seen a lot of things happen in just a couple days here. We've been seeing a lot of action with serial number 8. Again, I'm quite happy that I did not hit the road yet for serial number 8. It looks like it's definitely being held back a few days compared to what we thought just a couple days ago. Last night we saw a little bit of what's likely going to be a complete, not the complete loss, but the loss of one of the Raptor engines, which is definitely not ideal when they're working on this thing right now. So we do actually have the pad camera pulled up here. I also should have footage from our friends at Cosmic Perspective, so I'm actually going to try and see if those are going to pull up here. And if they are, that'd be awesome. Sometimes it takes me 1 second here for the feed to like aggregate, but I'm going to get that pulled up here in just a second. I'm going to go small. We should probably start listening in to this, although there's still... don't forget the T-minus times that you're going to see here. Whoa, my clock is off. Did they... Time to do some stuff with it. Oh, wait, that's... Duh. I was just about to explain that the T-minus time is not the real launch time because they go into that 4-minute hold, or that hold, and then they have a 4-minute terminal count. So the time that I have above me here is the actual time. Ooh, we might be able to learn about these engines, actually. Hang on. This is the Northrop Grumman GEMS.
Stronger and lighter with a graphite epoxy winding process. Our early GEM motors successfully flew on hundreds of Delta launches over the years. Today, our GEM 63 motors support ULA's Atlas V launch vehicle. Northrop Grumman is continually evolving its rocket motor products through updated technologies, materials, and processes, and the GEM 63 motor is no exception. We are proud to support ULA and the U.S. National Reconnaissance Office to launch the nation's most critical national security payloads. We're excited to see the GEM motors in flight.
Cool. So those are the new solid rocket boosters. The first time they're going to be on the Atlas V. I think that's pretty cool. Now, I think when these things are on Centaur or on Vulcan, if I remember right, they actually aren't going to have that the nose that tapers in like we see on the Atlas V. I think they're going to be a normal conical nose. Hang on here. Let's listen into the dedication. Oh, it is cool. I love that they dedicate the rockets to.
Today's NRO 101 launch has a dedication on the launch vehicle to Michael Thomas Mike Ellis, who passed away at 60 years of age on 17 September 2020. Mike dedicated more than 35 years of his life to supporting national defense. Mike will be remembered by his colleagues in the NRO for being the driving force behind the design and construction of the Eastern Processing Facility at Cape Canaveral, Florida, the world's premier spacecraft processing facility. The words cemented on NROL 101 read, "In memory of our colleague, friend, and patriot. May he rest in peace."
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That would be an awesome dedication for your life, would be having a rocket launch, in my opinion. I'm going to try and get these.
We often get questions about the various clock displays visible in the Launch Control Center.
Let's listen to this.
Most notably the T count and L count clocks. T simply stands for time, and L stands for launch. The T count is a scripted time until T0. All of the launch vehicle's countdown events are procedurally sequenced to T time. The L count is the total amount of time until launch, which is the T time plus the built-in holds. Built-in holds are placed at strategic points in the countdown, for instance before cryogenic loading and before the terminal count and liftoff, and are contingency time that the team can use if needed to catch up in the event of a delay in countdown activities. The Atlas mission uses two 15-minute built-in holds for a total of 30 minutes of hold time, which means that the L count starts out 30 minutes longer than the T count. After the first built-in hold, there is only a 15-minute difference between T and L counts, and when we enter the terminal count, the L and T counts are equal. Preparations today took a little bit longer than expected, and so we did borrow some of the time from that final built-in hold for the pre-cryogenic hold, which left us with a 7-minute terminal count hold for today's mission, which we'll be entering very shortly.
LC-1AC. Radar brief, the Centaur logs has gas indications.
LD net 1.
I just wanted to point out here real quick that we do actually have live video footage there. That is a live telescope feed from Cosmic Perspective. That's Ryan Shalinsky and Mary Liz Bender, who are good friends of mine. Yeah.
This issue we did today again violate the 4% of the TRD. However, the ARB did give justification for up to 8% of O2, 2% H2. We are within those limits, and we recommend proceeding.
LC concurs. LD.
LD concurs.
MD.
MD concurs.
Cool. Well, that's some good news there. That looks like they are proceeding into the count. For some reason, I am seeing this. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if they are proceeding. So after this T minus 6 minutes and 34 seconds, we will hear them do that, the go, no go poll, which is one of my favorite things still. I do wish we could hear that with every mission. Rocket Lab seems to do it sometimes on air. I wish that we could hear it like that. It just builds up that excitement. So let's try and answer a few guys' questions here if I can. I seem to be having some issues. We're changing things over, getting ready for Crew 1 this weekend, and we changed a lot of things here. So hopefully my stuff isn't too far off.
All secondary decoms verified on RF link.
Let's listen to this here real quick.
T minus 6 minutes.
Okay, nothing really. From Merrill Ski, accrued, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, accrued moon flyby mission are way easier than landing and returning to Earth ones. Is it possible we will be able to admire moon landscapes soon? Well, that's pretty much exactly why the Dear Moon mission, if those of you unfamiliar with the Dear Moon mission, that is Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa has already paid and hired SpaceX to send him and up to 12 or maybe more than 12 actually people out around the moon on a Starship. Now you'll notice it's out around the moon. It's not landing on Starship because it is substantially easier. Oh, listen here.
Please coordinate new T0 2232.
Copy 223200 Zulu inward.
T minus 5 minutes.
Okay, they're moving the clock.
LC logs 2.
Go.
Centaur LO2 at flight level.
Roger.
LC the flight control.
Okay, we just heard the launch director direct the launch conductor to set up for a new T0 of 5:32 p.m. Eastern Time. We will make that adjustment when the clocks enter the built-in hold here in just a few moments, about 30 seconds from now.
Okay, so yeah, we've got a new T0 time there. So our orange clock over there is up to date with the current T0 time. This is going to go off really close to sunset, I'm guessing. What time does it sunset over there? Okay, so let's get
T
back
minus
into
4 minutes in holding. This is a programmed 15-minute hold.
LC switch to not ready. ALC, please set for a new T0 of 22:32 Zulu.
Roger.
And the team has now entered that final built-in hold. The ALC will be, Assistant Launch Conductor, will be setting the clocks for the new T0 as directed by the leadership team.
Okay, so back to that answer about Starship. So yeah, I mean, realistically, going out around the moon is substantially easier and takes a lot less energy than going even into lunar orbit. Requires another, an orbital capture burn. That's, the Apollo command module did that on the far side of the moon. It was a substantial delta V burn. If I remember it, it's something, oh man, I don't quite remember how many meters per second.
Set for new T0 of 22:32 Zulu. Roger.
But it was a substantial delta V.
Range is approved 2230 Zulu T0.
That was 2232.
That's good copy.
All right, team, clocks are set. We have an approved T0 of 2232 Zulu.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Currently approaching L minus 17.
Okay, so we're still pretty much on track with.
And as you just heard, Launch Conductor Scott Barney verifying the team is now realigned to the new T0 of 22:32 Zulu time, which equates to 5:32 p.m. Eastern time. That puts us at just over 17 minutes prior to liftoff. The next major milestone will be the terminal count status check, and that'll be occurring in about 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. So let's keep answering questions here. So really, I mean, even to get into lunar orbit versus a lunar flyby is substantially more delta V. In other words, you either have to have, a bigger rocket, or in the case of Starship, you'd have to do another refueling with a refuel tanker to be able to get into orbit. And remember, to get into lunar orbit and then out of lunar orbit requires the same amount of delta V. So basically it takes double the amount if you want to get into and out of lunar orbit than just doing a simple flyby. And then landing on the moon requires another solid chunk of delta V too. And again, it requires that same amount of delta V to get back from the surface of the moon back into lunar orbit. So doing a flyby is quite easy as far as delta V goes and as far as mission planning goes. So that's why, Dear Moon doing a lunar flyby is substantially more attainable short term versus something like a human landing system Starship, which would require separate landing engines and 6 or so refueling trips of Starship. It's definitely a more involved mission. So I'm going to keep reading here. We've got a few more. So Musical Wolves, how's it going? Hello from Yellowstone National Park. Does plasma from re-entry block infrared? If it doesn't, can using IRDA transmitters solve the communication blackout during re-entry? I think it does interfere with infrared. It blocks a lot of stuff. It's really hard to transmit through plasma. The one thing that you can do though is remember the space shuttle when it re-entered, it had a huge wake because of the big giant wings, and they could actually maintain most communication by pointing up and communicating through the TDRS satellites, the tracking data and relays satellites. So that is a possibility, especially with Starlink coming online. You could have Starlink receivers and transmitters on your spacecraft and almost no matter what, be able to have an uplink. And so you wouldn't have communication blackouts. You wouldn't have to transmit to a downlink through your plasma. That's the hard part is that the downlink transmitting through this really high heat, high temperature plasma that's just nasty to try and transmit through. So that's one way to be able to do that. So hopefully that answers your question there. Casey Red Dragon says, is this the same satellite that was going to be launched on the Delta IV that kept getting delayed? Or is this a different satellite? This is a different satellite. That's NRO 44, which is still on hold. It has still not actually made it off the pad, as we know. It's kind of, it's when it's done mode. You guys have probably heard me say that 100 times about my videos and about my scripts. When it's done, that's, I guess, where NRL 44 is at. And when it's ready, it's presumably an extremely expensive satellite, an extremely expensive payload. And obviously mission success is the most important thing. So scrubbing months obviously is not ideal, but it's, you only get one chance. Scrubs are cheaper than booms. Do it right the first time. I'm learning. So Fun side note, those of you that have been paying attention to the videos that I've been working on a video about the Soviet rocket engine history for a long time. It got bumped out of the way during a peer review phase to be able to do that Starship video that we released last week. Thank you to, by the way, to the basically 500,000 of you that have already watched the Starship overview video. That's blowing my mind that 500,000 people have already watched the video that came out last week. A 1 hour long video too. So if you haven't done that yet, consider watching that this weekend as a good hype up for the Crew 1 mission. But it is a really solid overview of Starship and all of its systems. But the good thing is, in that review phase, I started going back and going over some of the things that I learned, and I found this missing link between the RD-107, the engine that's on the Soyuz, and basically all of the hypergolic rocket engines. And I'm really excited about it. I'm adding a whole nother probably 2 or 3 pages, which is this is now going to be this is literally becoming a documentary, which is awesome. It's going to be well over an hour long, and it's going to be, I think, my best video to date, because I've learned way too much about Soviet rocket engines and how they are still evolved, and the family tree going into today, and even on the rocket that's launching right here in 11 minutes, the RD-180. A lot of people have questions about that lineage and that heritage and that history. I have finally the family tree getting figured out. I literally am down to the RD-250 is the missing link of basically everything that I've been trying to plot out here so that I can understand it. Finishing that script, it's over 21 or 22 minutes long, and it's going to be awesome. So I hope you guys are ready for that one. That's going to be a real sit-down one, notebooks at the ready. So yeah, I cannot wait. That's going to be an awesome one. We should probably take a real quick second here to confirm that we have a pointy end up and a flamey end down. Multiple shots now have good confirmation, including our shots from Cosmic's perspective. It does appear to me that the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down, my friends. It looks like they are ready to go. It looks like it's ready to go, guys. This is awesome news. Yeah. I should probably mention,
Roger.
Getting some stuff.
LC Peony-2.
Go.
Step 760 Centaur LH2 SVV cycle tests are complete.
Roger.
Cool. Well, I guess.
Minus 11 minutes.
So we're a little ahead.
All right, team, this is LC on Net 1. We are complete to operations for Operation 50, picking up in Operation 60, and working for the clock.
Right, the factor in the delay between ULA uploading it to the cloud and then trying to match our clocks. Once we get to that T-minus 4 minutes hold, we can really dial that baby in. But for now, we're probably going to be a rough estimate, and I'll dial that clock in just a little bit. So, yeah, okay, so back to cool stuff. Yeah, what were we talking about here? Overall, again, just to kind of wrap up here, I'm really, I cannot wait to get that video out to you. It's going to be a long time, though, still, because I will likely still, depending on serial number 8's condition, which doesn't sound like it was that bad. I mean, it's not like it is going to delay the progress of serial number 8's hop months, but last night there was some kind of issue. They basically had some stuff go out of control. They likely lost a Raptor engine, and it's frankly hard to tell exactly how long that might delay progress, but I don't think it's going to be a month or more. It might just be a few days or a week.
Server shall announce hold on channel 1. Identify the station and brief.
So we're getting into the terminal count or the polling here, which is really fun. So
from launch on time verification.
Here we go. Let's listen in.
OSM, place SRB ignition SNA switch in the enable position.
I saw someone in the YouTube chat asking, what's the pointy end up mean? It's just a lighthearted joke that we've been doing for years on this channel where obviously a rocket typically has a pointy end and a flamey end, and it's just an orientation check to confirm that the pointy end is pointing in the right direction and they didn't send the rocket out to the launch pad upside down. Completely arbitrary and totally tongue-in-cheek, but it's just something fun that it's a tradition we've done around here, is whether or not the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down. While they're getting ready to pull, I should point out that of course, the smoke that you're seeing on the rocket is not smoke, that's condensation. especially on the liquid oxygen tank there, the first stage. You are seeing it. It's cold. It's minus 183 degrees Celsius. So the liquid oxygen inside those tanks. So when the air comes in contact with that cold tank, it literally is just creating, there's an ice sheet on there, and it's just condensation pouring off of that rocket, little cloud vapors like that. And also, as the rocket's venting, as it warms up, that liquid oxygen changes into a gas, and they have to vent that out because it expands about 1,000 times. So in order to not rupture the tanks, they bleed it out. And then, of course, you see some clouds like that too. So someone, Miles B in Discord asks, has the pointy end check ever failed? It gets tricky sometimes with Starship when there's not necessarily a clear pointy end, and there's definitely been some flamey ends on other parts of Starship. So it's gotten tricky, but yeah. So let's see if hopefully we're getting into the polling here any second. I'm going to turn them up as they prepare to do that. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful night for launch. What time is sunset on the East Coast here? I'm going to look that up.
And my apologies. We are now about 30 seconds away from that final status check occurring.
Okay, cool. We have Vince Wayne with says hello. Greedo sent me. Awesome, Vince. Well, thank you for your chat, and thanks for the membership. I really appreciate that. We have some fun. Okay. Peyton, yes, you can officially call me Piano Man. I now have a piano in the house, which is fun for writing music. I'm not by any means a pianist, but I love to write music on piano, so that's fun. Maybe there'll be more tunes coming out.
Status check.
Here we go.
With terminal count. Respond go, no go. Atlas systems, propulsion.
Go.
Hydraulics.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
Water.
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Pasgas.
Go.
Electrical systems, airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
GCQ.
Go.
GCQ.
Go.
GCQ net 1.
Go.
Roger. Operation support.
Go.
Com.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Redline monitor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch vehicle is ready to launch.
Mission director.
You have permission to launch.
Yes,
Proceeding
finally.
with the count. ALC. Verified T0 is set for 2232 Zulu.
Verified.
Yes.
Polling is complete. The ULA launch team and the NRO mission director are go for launch.
5 minutes, 30
From T-minus 4 minutes until launch, you'll be listening to Scott Barney and his team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. You'll hear the team call out that a topping has been secured, followed about a minute later by the call out for transferring the Atlas and Centaur stages from ground facility power to internal battery power. At T-minus 1:55, the team will command the launch sequencer to start, followed shortly by securing the Centaur liquid hydrogen and Centaur liquid oxygen topping activities. At T-minus 1:40, the team will command the flight control system to launch enable and arm the flight termination system. In the final minute, Atlas tanks will be verified at flight pressures, followed by a verification of Centaur tank pressures. A final status check of Atlas, Centaur, and NRO 101 readiness is conducted at T-minus 25 seconds. At T-minus 3 seconds, the RD-180 engine will roar to life. After liftoff, you'll hear the voice of Rob Kesselman providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Sweet. All right, so now you're going to have to see me try to fiddle with a clock. It's actually quite hard to do. And normally Andrew does that along with us, but Andrew is at another shoot today. So we'll have to see if Andrew can happen to pop in and do the clock fiddle, and so I can answer some of your questions.
Not good here.
Like
You're
this.
on that one.
Ooh.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. We anticipate releasing the hold in just a few moments.
On my mark, the time will be T-minus 4 minutes and counting. 3, 2, 1, mark.
How'd I do?
The countdown clock has resumed, and we are go for launch at 5:32 p.m. Eastern
Ground
Time.
gyros enabled.
Not bad. Not bad. Okay, I got it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. So I see two that are in regards to the fairing. Jim Nicholas and Van DeZuma in our Discord are asking about the fairings and all this stuff. So Jim asks, Tim, is it a bit top heavy? Looks out of balance. So the 5 meter fairing actually is structurally part of the upper stage too. The Centaur upper stage is inside there, believe it or not. So the fairing actually encompasses the second stage when it's the 5 meter fairing. So the payload is partially attached to the fairing.
Securing LO2 topping.
Up in there. So it's a really unique system. And it's not that it's necessarily top heavy, because don't forget, fuel is extremely heavy. There's a lot of fuel on board, and it's a lot heavier in the heavy engines and all that stuff at the aft end. Now, aerodynamically, it's probably quite interesting when you have such a large aerodynamic surface like that, but it's obviously been worked into the system. The engines can steer, which is the main way they keep the vehicle stable. But you'll notice when these fairings deploy, they are freaking huge. And there's another subset of fairings that will kind of deploy after the main fairing. And hopefully we'll see, they'll pull up an animation for us around fairing deploy. But although this mission might get cut short at payload fairing jettison, they might really not show too much after that, because it is a top secret mission, basically. So yeah, that's a great question. Thank you guys for the good question. Trevor says, I just wanted to say thanks for the great videos. My kids love watching the launch streams, and I love being able to share my love of all things space with them. Can't wait to watch the belly flop. Oh, man. Trevor, that's going to be the craziest thing I think any of us will have seen. It's going to be absolutely wild. I'm going to be screaming my face off. So if you don't want to hear someone screaming, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm going to be able to hold back. But thank you for getting your family involved and watching these together. That really means a lot to me. To see family coming together to watch something exciting like this. I think this is fun stuff to watch and something to cheer on. So, all right. Yeah, we are now 120 into the count. Oh, baby.
115.
Reduce ECS for launch.
Roger.
110.
Vent valve locked.
T-minus 1 minute.
Rock, report range status.
Range green.
The launch vehicle, payload, ground systems, and eastern range are all go for launch.
Yes, finally. Yes.
T-minus 40 seconds.
Label at step 3.
Now, for this mission, guys, there is a greater delay. The way ULA sends us a feed, it'll be about 20 seconds delayed. Our feed from Cosmic Perspective is 7 to 10 seconds, so we're likely going to see it launch earlier from the telescope feed on the right-hand side of your screen.
Go Centaur. Go NRO.
There we go, already. Yes!
With that call, the NRO 101 mission is ready to launch.
It's going! It's going, baby. Look at that.
T-minus 10.
10.
9.
9.
8.
Spoiler alert.
6. 5. 4. 3. Atlas ignition. 2. 1. 0. And liftoff. Liftoff to the Atlas NRO 101 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office. You are hearing the voice of Rob Kesselman providing launch vehicle ascent data.
Roll maneuver.
Yes.
Ready 180, hits on it. Close loop engine control. Atlas has now completed its pre-programmed switchover maneuver.
Come on, Ryan, you can get it.
Now at 28 seconds into flight, Atlas is 2 miles in altitude, going at 1,200 miles per hour. RD-180 has throttled down slightly as expected. Engine response looks good. RD-180 past Mach 1. Engine pump speeds and injector pressure are in family for this thrust level. SRBs look good.
Wow.
RD-180 has throttled back up as planned. Mach 2.
Love that.
Now 70 seconds into flight. Atlas is 10 miles in altitude, 5.6 9 miles in altitude, 2,100 miles plus. Atlas has passed Mach 3.
Wow.
Standing by for SRB burnout. We have burnout on all 3 SRBs. Standing by for jettison.
Come on, baby. So again, these are new SRBs.
The RD-180 is now throttling down slightly. And we have jettison on all 3 SRBs.
Sweet. Yes, that's what we like to see.
Okay, all personnel Met 1, start system securing for Operation
Cool.
7.
Now past Mach 5.
That's an awesome shot. Those are the solid rocket boosters.
Approximately 2 minutes remain in the Atlas booster phase of flight.
Tumbling back to Earth. You can see a roll program.
This time, booster tank pressures look good. And booster battery voltages remain in their expected range.
That's an awesome shot. See the ice build up there on the first stage?
RD-180 continues to operate as expected.
Guys, I got some fun news here. We can do this for you.
Centaur reaction control system is now pressurizing to flight level.
We actually have the telemetry up. Approximate telemetry. Simulated telemetry.
We are now 3 minutes into flight on the L101 mission. Atlas is now 66 miles in altitude, 125 miles downrange, traveling at 7,500 miles per hour.
Looks like Declan's telemetry is a little bit off there. There goes the payload
now throttling down in preparation for payload fairing jettison. And we've had successful payload fairing jettison and successful CFLR load deck jettison.
Yeah, Declan's data definitely seems to be a little bit off.
Throttling back up after the separation event.
Because it's that was showing altitude in kilometers, and it was below the altitude in miles. That was just called out, so we must be a little bit off there.
Atlas has reached a 4.6 acceleration limit.
Though they look the same, this evening's Atlas V rocket lifted off with new solid rocket boosters. Program leads Jamie Umshed and Samantha Suarez recently sat down to discuss the new SRBs. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Jamie Umshed. I am the Vehicle Systems Engineer for Vulcan Centaur program at United Launch Alliance. Prior to this role, I was the integration lead for the GEM 63 program. With me today is Samantha Suarez, Systems Engineer and Integrator. Together, we led the integration program for the GEM 63 on Atlas V. NRO L101 will be the first mission to fly those SRBs. Under a strategic partnership, Northrop Grumman was chosen to be the sole provider of solid rocket boosters to United Launch Alliance for our family of rockets. It's a lower cost alternative to the SRBs that have been flying on Atlas V since 2003.
So one of the interesting parts or challenging parts of integrating these motors is you have to be able to swap out the SRB and make sure you're not increasing risk to the Atlas launch vehicle, and additionally that you're meeting system performance requirements.
I wonder if that's actually all they're going to show us. Now they showed that is all they're going to show us since it was the end of the payload fairing. Let me see if we got anything from the cosmic feed at all yet. Again. Because we might actually have... I actually don't have a feed from them at all. So they are not tracking either. But that obviously doesn't necessarily mean anything. Oh well, we can get to answering some of your guys' questions here. But yeah, they're just talking about the SRBs. Let's answer a few more of your guys' questions here. This is from Gabriel asking, did Delta Heavy ever launch? No, Delta Heavy has not launched, and we're still waiting on it. So NROL 44 was supposed to launch a while ago now, and it has not still. So fingers crossed now. I'm glad to see ULA back at it, launching. They've had many scrubs lately, so this is good to see it finally get off the ground. I'm really excited for that. So maybe we'll see the Delta 4 Heavy launch pretty soon. Kai says, hi, Tim, playing KSP right now. Got a sustainable gateway around the moon in my space program. Question, could Starship refuel from the lunar surface? Yes and no. They could refuel the oxidizer on the surface of the moon using liquid ice, but they would have to they can't refuel methane. You have to have carbon in the atmosphere in order to be able to, or an atmosphere basically, to be able to refuel methane. You can make methane using the Sabatier process, which is where you use electrolysis to split hydrogen into oxygen and or to take water and split it into hydrogen and oxygen, and then inject carbon into it to make methane. So because the moon has no atmosphere, they cannot make methane on the lunar surface. However, like I said, they can end up doing they can end up replenishing their liquid oxygen, which is actually pretty beneficial. So they could launch with more methane than necessary, or refuel just the methane tanks, and then refuel oxygen on the surface of Mars for Starship. That is a possibility. Let's hear real quick at the end here.
Today's broadcast. Stay updated with the mission on ULA's live blog at ulalaunch.com or join the conversation on social media. Before we sign off, we'll take you to another look at liftoff, which occurred at 5:32 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Dylan Rice on behalf of the ULA launch team. Thanks for joining us and have a great evening.
It's cool to see their thing there behind them in the background, so you can actually see the second stage firing there. But they're going to show just a replay here of the thing. And then, we're just that's it for their coverage. That's it. So we can continue answering some questions here. From Jeffrey Fraug. Always love listening to Tim. Keep up the good work. Pointy end up. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. Musical Wolves says Sunseeker app is good for sunset and sunrise. Yeah, I have stuff, but I just wasn't going to pull out my phone and find, go over to Kennedy Space Center and figure it out. So it looks like it was a beautiful launch, and it is launching of course into darkness. So there might have been places. I was trying to figure out if there would have been places that would have had some twilight phenomena or some really pretty photos that we'd see from launch photographers tonight. I was kind of hoping to see that. It looked like a pretty launch. So Meryl Ski says, I have made a Starship-shaped candle, and it's flamey side up, and it's still cool. That's awesome. A Starship candle. Now, that sounds awesome. Thank you very much. Natacat19 says, just a tip from Natacat19. Thank you so much. Colin Harvey, Tim, can you turn these long documentaries into ebooks for reference? So much information in your videos. Awesome stuff. Keep it up. Stay safe. Yes, Colin, don't forget, we have any of these long videos we do put on our website. So it's not an ebook, it's not something that you can necessarily download per se, but it's something that you can load up on an ebook reader if you need to or whatever and read through, because it is multi-pages. I mean, we're talking 20 plus pages for these videos. Plenty of reading content, and we do try to link lots of sources and resources in there too. And it makes it easier for you to be able to search something. It's really hard to search for a topic on a video. If you're like, wait, when was it that he talked about this? If you remember a certain term, like for this Russian engine video, it's probably going to be a huge resource to be able to be like, yeah, RD 250. When does Tim talk about the RD 250? You can look at the website, the article built in that we're going to be making that'll say RD 250, and you can get a sense of about where it is in the script and which section it's in at least. So it will be that resource for you. Those are of course completely free, guys. We put a lot of work into having the website just simply be a resource for the community. I want it to be able to provide things for you guys that, that's the whole thing for me. I don't see media as any kind of competition. I see it as everyone being able to carve their own path. I absolutely love the work of so many of the other journalists and websites and YouTubers out there. Everyone's kind of got their own little thing that they're doing and concentrating on, and I absolutely appreciate that about the community. So for us, we're always trying to find what can we provide that isn't necessarily being provided too much. So that's why I've kind of honed in on these long form things, because it's so something like the Russian history and the whole family tree of the Soviet rocket engines. If you try to break that up, the reason it's so complicated is because it's always gotten broken up. I cannot find, and we've been working on this one for months and months and months. What we're going to be providing as an asset, I've never seen drawn out before, where it's just literally like a cohesive, linear, like historical of how we got from one engine to the next and one program to the next, one rocket to the next. And that's something that I love to do. I love to do that. And a lot of the videos I make are for myself. Literally, the videos I make 90% of the time are because they're questions that I have or things that I'm confused about, things that are like, and if I have a block in my head that it's like, I better not touch that because I will misspeak because I don't know enough about it. That means it's a good topic for me to be able to make a video about or to be able to make an article about. So, or same thing. So, yeah, we're actually going to keep the mission timer up since the mission is launched. That way people know that, well, maybe we can just remove it. But yeah, hopefully that lets you, that's my thought, at least as far as these videos and stuff go, is what can I be providing the community and my audience that's new and different and helps you guys learn something that I'm excited to learn about. So yeah, we should say real quick again, congratulations to United Launch Alliance on getting the Atlas V off the ground. That's got to feel good. Hopefully there's a nice collective sigh of relief at ULA that yes, they can launch rockets and yes, they can kick butt doing so, I think we've really wanted to see that happen. Hopefully NROL 44 gets off the ground here soon too. So congratulations to the teams at ULA and at the National Reconnaissance Office. We will stand by for Twitter updates, of course, that everything is going well. Hopefully we will know more relatively soon. So yeah, this is from Protocol OH. The best example of getting pointy, flamey, and wrong would be that Proton launch where they hammered the G sensors in upside down. Yes. So there was famously a Proton rocket launch where they hammered the inertial measurement units upside down. Like they can only fit one way. And for some reason, someone was so convinced that they had to, the technician that put them in was so convinced that they had to be jammed in the way he was holding them that he had to hammer them in place in order to get them. And of course, he was putting them in upside down. That's the reason they weren't clicking into place. And that ended up making it so all of the yaw movements were backwards. So in other words, as it was thought it was yawing, we'll say left, I don't know, we'll just pretend it was trying to yaw left. Normally you'd correct by yawing to the right. Well, instead it was a feedback loop where it's opposite. It yaws left and it's like, oh, whoops. And it thought it was actually, in real life it was yawing right. And so it was actually inducing the wrong amount of control and basically crashed into a giant fireball. So yeah, that is definitely getting the pointy end up, flamey end down, absolutely backwards. Roman Romansky, what's up, bro? What about the Ukrainian-Canadian cooperation in Ukrainian rockets? That's a good question. I don't actually know too much about that. Ukraine, obviously, the Ukrainian rockets are very similar to what Northrop Grumman launches for the what's that rocket they launched? That's basically the fuselage of a Ukrainian rocket. I'm blanking again right now. Antares is basically a Ukrainian rocket with some Russian engines. And yeah, so Ukraine sells parts, to anyone that wants to buy them pretty much. But I don't know about that particular collaboration, unfortunately. So Ben Hevel says, watching with my family from Denmark. Awesome. Well, thank you to Ben and your family for tuning in. Yeah, that means a lot that people from all around the world are wanting to see rockets fly. Rocky Whelan says, holy, the sound of that launch was unbelievable. I had so many goosebumps. Wish SpaceX would have that good of a sound. Wow. Part of that sound, guys, was because of our feed from Cosmic Perspective. They have binaural. Mary Liz, well, I don't know if she was using the binaural. She also has a dish with a microphone, a very directional dish that she's aiming at the rocket to provide sound. So I actually cranked their sound once I knew it was going to be coming in. So I think our sound on this channel is going to be a lot better than anything you hear from the official broadcast. So yeah, that sound was thanks to Cosmic Perspective. So if you guys aren't following them on Twitter and on YouTube, definitely do so. The work that those two produce is just outstanding. Some of the best and most unique interviews, but also by far, in my opinion, some of the best footage that you will see online of rockets, period, bar none. So, ooh, awesome. I didn't know that Ukraine formally joined the Artemis Accords today. That is newsworthy, in my opinion. That is awesome. Very, very cool. Terrence Shepard, how's it going, Terrence? Their clock still says T-. I noticed it still said T- even after his T+. Little overlay error. I wish I could say it's never happened to me, but that's happened to me far too often. Thank you, Terrence. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Rick S., thanks for always keeping me and my family up to date on space news. Love the new full flow stage combustion hoodies. I'm 6'5" but skinny. Would a large be long enough? Probably not. If you're 6'5", I would probably go with extra large. They are. Here's the deal. I definitely noticed that the full flow stage combustion cycle hoodies, they start off really big, and then if you wash them, I always wash my clothes like all together, just on warm. It definitely shrunk up a decent amount. So it started off like hilariously big, and then I washed it warm, and it shrunk up to be normal sizes. I wear a large. I'm 5'11" basically. And it shrunk up quite a bit to be totally a normal size hoodie. They're pretty thick. If you want it to be long, I would consider actually just getting a large and making sure you're washing it cold, or however you wash it to not make things shrink. I don't know. But in that case, I would maybe consider looking at an extra large. Just in case, because there's nothing worse. If you have a long torso like me, there's nothing worse than like lifting your arms up and just showing everyone your tummy. But if you guys want to support what I do in a fun and frankly an easy way, because you get to hang out and party in some cool clothes, head on over to shop.everydayastronaut.com. The full flow stage combustion cycle hoodie is awesome. I've been wearing it like all fall now that it's getting cold, staying extremely warm in it. You can get this. I had totally forgot. I frankly was so involved in scripting today. I just had my head down in research. I was a little bit late even to the live stream because I was so stoked about what I was reading and like putting these final pieces of the script together that I forgot to do the launch day coupon, but we will end up with a launch day coupon here later tonight. As soon as I tune out here, I'll make sure the launch day coupon is up to date for the full flow stage combustion cycle hoodie. So if you want to order this later, you can take 10% off by doing coupon code launch day at checkout, all one word, launch day. But other than that, just check out the rest of our shirts and stuff. As you guys know, this stuff really helps me be able to pay the people making this stuff possible for us, and be able to provide coverage for you guys, especially for upcoming SN8. That's going to be nuts. I can't wait for you to see the gear that we came up with. It is some next level stuff. So go head on over to everydayastronaut.com/shop or shop.everydayastronaut.com. And if you want to help support what I do, we're working on a new site flip here really soon. You guys are going to love it. I promise. It's going to be like a really big site flip. It's currently in the works, so I can't wait. I'm really, really, really excited for serial number 8, and especially now that it's still standing. Last night got a little shady, and I was getting a little worried when it was not detanking, and after it potentially burned through a Raptor engine. So we'll see. This is from Cody. Good day from Australia. Thanks for all the content. You're welcome, Cody. I really appreciate that. No problem. It is literally my pleasure. Aaron says there's an M in cosmic perspective. Oh, Andrew, did you forget an M in cosmic perspective in that overlay? Let's take a look. Let's just take a look. Cosmic perspective. That looks good. I see cosmic perspective. I see M's. I see M. Aaron, I expect you to fully take back your M in unless I said it wrong. Did I say Kazakh perspective at some point, like Kazakhstan? Kazakh perspective, that'd be a great version for that. But I don't know. I don't know. I see an M there. Andrew defends himself saying, I can spell. I can't. So that's why Andrew's doing spelling these days, because I cannot spell. To those patrons that have witnessed me reading a script before, so our commanders go through script read-throughs with me, and they get to read the script as I'm like reading it, and we talk about the script. It's normally it's become like a 2 or 3 hour event, and it's, for every video now, it's getting ridiculous. They can attest to how bad I am actually at spelling and reading. I'm really, really bad. Oh, yeah. So there you go. Albino, Polar Bear. How do they keep the payload hidden while loading? So they literally, obviously the people that put the payload inside of the fairing have the clearance for it, the classified clearance. There's a team of people that I'm sure that have that kind of security clearance. But then once it's loaded up inside the fairing, they literally lift the whole fairing and the upper stage up onto the rocket. So once it's in the fairing, it's tucked away, and people with lower clearance levels can be around the rocket. And of course, launch photographers and stuff like that can be out on the pad without any special classified clearance. But yeah, that's how, once it's inside the payload fairing, it's hard to see. It's impossible to see. So only the people that take the satellite and put it inside of the fairing are the ones that need to have that level of clearance. Yeah. This is from Mr. Z4K. Mr. Z4K. That's me done for tonight. Thanks for great coverage, Tim. Good night. Thank you so much for tuning in, Mr. Z4K. I appreciate that. Casey Red Dragon, what are the 4 towers of the launch site for? Good question. Let's actually pop over here so we can get a shot, and I'll show you guys here. So these 4 towers are lightning, basically lightning mitigation towers. I don't want to say they're not quite the same as lightning rods is my understanding, but they create there's these long tethers. Basically, if lightning is to strike, it will strike there. But I guess my understanding is these towers are not necessarily there to attract lightning like a tall object normally would, but by being this, they create like a big negative space around the launch pad that just simply makes it so lightning is not even attracted to it, is my understanding. That is a video I intend to make, because that's one of those things I don't necessarily know. I know that they're there for lightning purposes. I know that they are there to prevent the rocket from getting struck by lightning. I always assumed that it's like, hey, let's put something taller next to the rocket so the lightning would hit that. But I actually think there's something about the grounding of these towers that makes it so that the whole space is less conducive to getting hit by lightning in general, is my understanding. But like I said, I want to read up on that and make a video about that someday. But that's a great question. Olstein says, hey, Tim, I love what you do. It's one of the reasons why I study aerospace engineering now. That is so awesome. I love to hear that. Do we know when the spaceship launch will occur approximately? Spaceship as in Starship launch or spaceship? I'll try and look for ULA. Maybe you just accidentally meant to type Starship. Someone let me know. I'll try to keep an eye on chat here. I'll give you a couple seconds here. But assuming Starship launch, I won't know when Starship will launch until it's leaving the ground. That's the ultimate when it's done. Like, there is literally almost no point in me giving you estimates, because estimates change every single day. Okay, there you go, Ole. Yeah, there is, unfortunately, there's literally really no point in me telling you a date, because at this point, that date, until you, okay, let me tell you this. When you see me leaving for Texas, I then think we're about 2 or 3 days away. That's my personal guess, my personal estimate based on everything, right? Based on good guessing and an ear to the grindstone or whatever you say. Yeah, I promise that I will let you guys know as soon as I know, but even the day of, we don't know. You know, like look at how hard it is to guess when a static fire is going to be. I will wake up at like 9 o'clock, assuming that a static fire might be taking place in the next hour, and it'll take place 13 hours later or 2 days later. Like, my life, that's why when people want to know why is this stuff so hard, you know, or why do people get burnt out on YouTube, trust, you can definitely talk to me and Lab Padres, Space Padre, Mary, especially Mary, and especially the NSF crew, that it's exhausting trying to stay on top of the launch events and being like, like it's coming. Like just the other day, I was trying to schedule when my great grandmother's piano could be delivered to my house. I literally had to push that schedule back like 3 days, multiple times. And then even on the day of, like, it ended up coinciding in the middle of a live stream, because I just don't know. You just really do not know when this stuff's going to happen. It's Starship stuff, when it's a prototype like this, when it's in the development phase, it's not something they can just stick on the calendar and say, here's our schedule. It just doesn't work that way. It's like literally when it's done. This is the ultimate when it's done. You guys have seen me probably do that on Twitter. Like, when's your next video coming out? And my answer is when it's done. Starship, when's it going to fly? When it's done. Yeah. Patience pants, my friends. Patience pants, and just an understanding that timelines slip and all these road closures. I love, you know, I'm glad that people are excited and paying attention, but I will get literally like 100 tweets in an hour of people being like, look, there's a new road closure. You better get down to Texas. It's like, road closure is almost nothing. Like, I'm looking at way further out than that. So it's when it's done. Yeah, it's hard. Bear Lunar says, hey, Tim, Bear Lunar asking when Starship is operational, and all of that is SpaceX going to dump Falcon Heavy and Falcon 9. Have a great day. Bear Lunar, definitely watch my most recent video. I compare completely the Falcon Heavy and Falcon 9 and stuff. But realistically, as far as timeline, again, we have no real idea. Not even anyone at SpaceX has any real idea on when that vehicle will be operational. It could be in 9 months. It could be in 3 years. It might take, I have no idea. No one knows, because you can just, there's so many unknowns, right? Those are big variables that could push the timeline months, years. We just really have no idea. And then it will take a while for it to be operational enough and fulfilling enough, and to be certified to the point of being entrusted with all the same payloads that the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy are currently flying, especially like national security payloads. Starship will have to fly dozens of times before it's certified for flight for those, high risk and high dollar missions as well. So Tim Rice, you should make I don't want to go to Mars t-shirt. I should make I don't want to go to Mars t-shirt and an I don't know when Starship's going to launch t-shirt, or the date is when it's done, like something like that, because it's just, yeah. Good question, Tim, or a good suggestion. Musical Wolf says, is there a good site for showing changes for space programs related to the election? Not really, and things aren't really hashed out. We won't really know that until it happens. Just like anything, aspirations of an administration compared to what actually happens, compared to what Congress and the Senate actually ends up, writing into law, are all very different things. So sometimes you just have to wait and see what Congress appropriates and what actually comes to fruition. Because at this point, again, talking about that is frankly a little bit premature. I did talk about that a little bit, though, on our Ludicrous Future podcast this week. We did go over Jim Bridenstine stepping down as NASA administrator, and talking a little bit about what we might expect to see, the changes coming in with the Biden administration. So if you want to listen to that, you can go to olfpod.com. We talked about it for a good 20 to 30 minutes, giving you all of the stuff you need to know about that. That's OLF Pod, but you can find it here on YouTube as well, Our Ludicrous Future. Hopefully that teaches you guys something, or at least gets my opinion out there. It might not be right, but Ricky says, just got the Normal mask. Love it. Keep it up. Well, thank you, Ricky. Thanks for your support, and thank you for wearing a mask when you're in public as well. Matthew Hines, why do they turn off the downward camera? It's not like we can see the payload or extrapolate the satellite orbit based off the video. Maybe you can. I don't know. There's some things that might just be too sensitive. The downward camera, I believe, is also attached. That one is attached to the booster. So, they do. Obviously, that has to turn off at some point, because it will just end up re-entering and dying and blowing up. But that's the thing, is actually you probably could. Someone would be able to potentially extrapolate some data based on a downward pointing camera. Probably more than pointing up, frankly. Yeah. Tom Haters95 says, how much cheaper is a SpaceX launch compared to rivals? So currently, the Falcon 9 is around $60 million. There might be other launches that are more expensive for the Falcon 9 with other, say, national security considerations, things like that. In order to support the launch, it might cost more, like $70, $80, $100 million even. But we also have heard, I swear somewhere one time I read that a Falcon 9 launch was that NASA had signed a $42 million Falcon 9 launch. I think, I don't know, I don't want to confirm that, but that rings a bell in my head. So somewhere probably around, I really feel like a customer might be able to get a launch for $50 million these days or something around there, $60 million for sure. And as opposed to the cheapest Atlas V launch, if you go to they used to have a rocketbuilder.com. We can actually configure, this is actually pretty fun. You can actually configure a rocket. So let's just say Q1 2021 orbit. Let's make it as cheap as possible. Low Earth orbit, nice and easy. Rocket type, let's go payload weight. Let's make it nice and easy. Let's make it 5,000 kilograms to low Earth orbit. That won't require any additional of those. Short, 4-meter fairing, the cheapest thing. Select a service. Let's just do core only available. Okay, sure. Signature. I don't know. So optional stuff like mission insight. I don't know. Yeah, it shows as $73 million. Now, this does say ULA value represents money saved plus additional revenue generated by launching on Atlas V with the reliability, schedule, certainty, orbit optimization, and early to orbit ETO capability unmatched by the launch vehicles. Now, that's not actually saying that this is really truly $73. 200, I don't know where I got that. 73 million. I don't think that truly means $73 million is the true amount, but it seems to be the ULA value. I don't know. But that to me sounds quite cheap, considering that the RL-10 engine is about $10 million on the upper stage. Just the upper stage engine is $10 million. I believe that the RD-180 is also around 10 or 12 million or something. So just the engines is about half the price of a Falcon 9 rocket. But yeah, $73 million. That could be, but if you're to match the capability of a Falcon 9, now we're talking, let's say we want to go to, say we want to take, say 15,000 kilograms, which is something that the Falcon 9 can do. How much is that actually going to cost? It still says $73 million. That can't be right. Can we reset it, or how do we boom, boom, boom? Yeah, that can't be right. I don't know. I wouldn't, but if realistically the cost, from my understanding, they aren't always totally public. I would expect a ULA launch to start at about $150 million. Does anybody have anything that would maybe counter that? It's safe to say that most SpaceX launches, equivalent SpaceX launches for equivalent services, are going to be at least half as cheap, maybe 3 times as cheap, for some services up to 4 or 5 times as cheap. Very big gamut there. I know I just threw a bunch of really poorly estimated things out there, but I would say it'd be really hard. I feel like half as cheap is a very safe bet. I'm done trying to guess that one. Paul Clark, why did the amazing 2 space experts talking about the new boosters on the video? Why did the amazing 2 space experts talking about the new boosters on the video have to say? I think what did the amazing... Paul, the reason that we sometimes don't listen to that is lots of times it's very basic information, and we can always rewatch that too. When we have a queue of questions here, I do tend to skip to the questions. We can rewatch that part anytime if we want to hear specifically about that. But so many times it's very basic information. Yeah. But we can go rewatch it if we want, but I would, yeah. So there we go. Someone on ULA's website, it says it starts at $109 million for an Atlas V. Huh. Okay, so this is from Spencer. ULA and Lockheed Martin claim they will be able to compete in launch price with the SpaceX without reusability. Is that possible? I personally, if right now you're thinking that you can compete with reusability without reusability, I just really have a hard time seeing that. I feel like SpaceX has definitely proven it, that the proof is in the pudding, and they are absolutely, it really just seems like they've proven that the reusability is valid, that it can save money, that they can lower the launch costs, and or the funny thing is the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, they don't necessarily need to lower the launch costs. If you're already the cheapest and winning over customers, and if you're saving money internally by reusing boosters, you can make more of a profit, right? Like, you don't have to arbitrarily lower your price just because you're able to launch cheaper. If competition comes along and all of a sudden starts to, risk your potential customers that you're signing up for because they can now match your price with other features or whatever, then yeah, you might want to lower your price. But SpaceX really has no incentive to lower their price right now. Say if they can launch internally for say $15 million or $20 million and sell that service for $45, $50, $60 million, that's a healthy profit. And why would they arbitrarily lower that? So I don't know if it's possible to compete at this point without reusability. I think in 5-10 years, it'll be very obvious. Reusability is still kind of seen as this new thing. A lot of people had bad taste in their mouth after the space shuttle kind of failed to prove out, especially Boeing would have a bad taste in their mouth for reusability, seeing that the orbiter required an insane amount of refurbishment, and all the plans for reusability really ended up being for naught, potentially. That it would have been probably cheaper just to use a pair of expendable rockets, one for crew and one for cargo or something like that. Yeah, that's kind of the answer to that. This is from DNZL. Hello from Mahia. That is awesome. That's super cool that you're at the Mahia Peninsula. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully someday I can get down there and see a Rocket Lab launch. From Obscular, let's see that tummy. Probably not going to happen. I'm sorry, my friends. Matthew Davies, thank you for becoming a new member. I appreciate that. Thomas Canny, we have a tip. Thank you so much. Romansky, thank you again. Roman, how are you? A bunch of RD engines developed by Ukrainian Yusmash factory. Very interesting topic. Plus, Ukraine and Canada are planning to build a launch complex. That is cool. I did not realize that. Again, that's one of the reasons why we changed the name to basically be Soviet rocket engine history, because so many of the non-Soviet or non-Russian now countries, the former republics, still have a lot to do with these aerospace engineering feats, and a lot of the people that worked on these programs weren't necessarily Russian. So that's why we are calling it the Soviet rocket engine, or former Soviet Union. So there you go. Oh, baby. Somebody, hey, you guys got a bingo? What was the word that got you guys bingo in Discord? I have to be careful what I say. CPL Daywalker says, when are you going to start your Crew Dragon stream so I can make sure I'm here? CPL is pronounced Corporal. I don't remember quite where Corporal Daywalker. Corporal Daywalker. Got it. Thank you very, very much, Corporal Daywalker. I think we're going to have our stream go up about T-5 hours from launch for Crew 1. I will probably go on air about T-3 hours when they're leaving the suit up building. But I think we're going to have clean feeds of the pad and stuff like that before then, just kind of preparing. So I don't think it makes sense for me to be on the whole time. My throat already hurts from talking for 1 hour now, so I'm nervous to talk for 5 hours. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, plan on the stream starting about 5 hours early, but I will join at about T-3 hours. Matthew Davies, hi Tim. Do you think the 15-kilometer hop will be with SN8 or SN9 after last night's static fire? I still think SN8. It doesn't seem that it's anything that happened was catastrophic. It sounds like they'll probably have to swap an engine out. Likely they'll have to swap an engine that was meant for serial number 9. So sorry, serial number 9. It looks like your engine's likely going to be stolen. And they will have to fix a couple of the issues that popped up last night, including a valve or a vent or something that prevented the header tank from properly venting. So we will see. Oh, Rocket Lab was the bingo. I do love to say Rocket Lab. So I still think serial number 8. And like I said, I don't expect it to be delayed that much. Although there's still some big checklist items that need to be done before it actually flies. So. John, thank you so much for your tip. Had the audio going in the car on the way home from a daycare pickup. My 18-month-old son started shouting, "Go!" with the terminal count. Thank you. That's super cool. Thank you for, again, including your family. Hopefully you guys do your own go, no-go polls before dinner or something. Fork, go. Knife, go. Milk, go. Soy milk, go. I don't know. Maybe water, go. In my case, I always just drink water. That's awesome. Very cool. Thank you again for tuning in, and thanks for including your family. V-Lord, thanks for the stream. By the way, where did you get the models on your right? So on my right, I'm guessing, so I'll just go, I get this every stream. These SpaceX models are from buzzspacemodels.com. That's BUZZ spacemodels.com. This is a Saturn V, Lego Saturn V. You can just get the Lego set. The New Glenn and the new Shepard over here are from Blue Origin. Those are not publicly available. The Rocket Lab Electron is from Rocket Lab, not publicly available. And the ULA rockets are available at the ULA store, which I think is ulastore.com. Yeah, hopefully that answers that question. Joseph Woods, just me being sad I won't be an astronaut because I'm British. Hey, that's not true anymore. I love your videos, and they have persuaded me to get into aerospace. Dude, these days, I feel like more now than ever with the commercial program really ramping up, I feel like it does not matter where you live. You might have to take some extraordinary path in life in order to really be in line to be, especially like a career astronaut, or be extremely wealthy to be able to afford your own ticket to space soon. But these days, I think it's actually a possibility. If you are an average person, or maybe someone with some extraordinary career path or something. I feel like it is possible that you have the potential to actually become an astronaut. Maybe not, like I said, maybe not a career astronaut working, for NASA or Roscosmos or JAXA or ESA. But I think that is ever increasingly becoming a possibility. And especially in 20, 30 years, I think it'll be like, oh, that's actually quite feasible. Thank you very much, Steve Radio. I appreciate that. Casey, Red Dragon, how much to launch a CubeSat? I don't really know. I think that some services, so with Rocket Lab, a lot of times they launch multiple CubeSats. So you'll do a ride-sharing program. And I think you can get, a CubeSat launched for these days getting close to like $500,000, maybe more, maybe less. You can even do ride-sharing missions with the Falcon 9. So I don't really know an exact number, and those things aren't necessarily public. They for competition reasons, they don't necessarily just post their prices. Like, hey, you've got a 2U CubeSat, it's going to cost X amount of money. It's not just straight up published like that. So, there we go. Yeah, Barbara Forrest. Tim Peake was an astronaut, and he was British, so it doesn't mean that you can't be an astronaut just because you're from the UK. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. So I don't necessarily know, but I think it's becoming and getting well under $1 million these days, which is super cool. Steve Radio says, let's go Centaur, go over to Astronaut. Well, thank you. It was an awesome launch, although albeit very short. Justin Knight, have I ever seen a launch from Virginia? I have not seen anything from Wallops. I really want to see Rocket Lab's Electron launch from Wallops, though. Really bad. And I will hopefully see that here soon when it happens. That is something I would like to see. From DNR, thank you so much. Musical Wolves, NASA streaming overview of crew launch. I'm probably going to tune out so I can do that myself. That's a good call. Justin Knight, let's see. I also live in Virginia and plan on going to Wallops to watch the next launch. Also, where have you gotten some of your models and what's your favorite? Sorry, I did just cover that, Justin. The models are from all over the place, ULAstore.com. The only ones publicly available are the ULA rockets here at ULA's website, Buzz Space models for the Falcon 9s and Falcon Heavy, and the Saturn V is Legos. So you can get those easily anywhere you want. My favorite, the Falcon Heavies, the Buzz Space models are expensive because they're like unbelievably detailed, maybe too detailed. Those are my favorite. That's why they're in the case, because they're just too good. I am really impressed, though. Actually, the new Glenn or new Shepard is a really good model too, and also I love the little stand that the Electron is on as well. So I have a lot of favorites. Neuropilot says you can actually get a CubeSat for into space for $100,000. Wow, that's quite impressive. So there you go, about $100,000 now. That's amazing. Radek says a red box of popcorn. Oh, it's one of those things. I was like, oh, thank you. I get it now. Thank you very much, Radek. That is awesome. I appreciate it. And from DK Johnson, has a disabled person ever gone to space? Not per se. The closest thing that I can think of is Stephen Hawking got to go on a 0G flight, in his condition, obviously with Lou Gehrig's disease, or ALS, he was unable to even move, but they put him in and let him float around in 0G. And I think that's definitely something that's pretty stinking cool. So I don't think there's ever been anyone with those severe disabilities ever launched into orbit, but I think that is a possibility in the relatively near future. Yeah. Ambient, how does SpaceX solve energetic interstellar radiation? I think a big part of that is just exposure time. If your transit to Mars is 6 months, being inside of a spacecraft, and if you know that these things are coming, there's certain places that can be, if you put simply literally water, urine, mass basically in between you and the radiation environment can be a good radiation shield. But radiation is one of those things. There's a lot of things that we're learning now with kind of nanotechnologies, nano coatings, to be able to deflect and make it so that radiation is diffused and not nearly as dangerous. These can literally be like coatings or like aluminum core honeycomb type of things that can help mitigate radiation. So there's a lot of cool techniques that we've learned that I think will be valid, but a lot of it's just exposure time. So keeping that down to a minimum. DNR again. Kessler syndrome. How much space junk was just created by ULA, and what department of company takes responsibility for the junk causing more Kessler syndrome? Is the U.S. Air Force tracking their junk? So there isn't necessarily that much junk. The fairings, of course, are suborbital. The boosters suborbital. The solid rocket boosters are suborbital. ULA does. I don't know if they use pneumatic pushing for their deployment on their Atlas V, but there might be a little bit of debris once you're in orbit. And there are places that are in charge of tracking debris, but I don't think it's not substantial, And the upper stage for certain missions is either deorbited or it's kicked out into a graveyard orbit. So these things are tracked and they are noted. Yeah, but having pyrotechnics on orbit is just not a good idea because that does actually create space debris. So, yeah. Nabel Boag says, thank you for your generous tip here. It seems like SpaceX has taken the clearly superior iterative fail-fast approach with Starship. Do you think Blue Origin or any other company will catch up? Right now, I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard for another company to catch up. I think Blue Origin, people... In this scale of things, guys, you just have to realize how quickly some of the things happened for SpaceX in the past 5 years. I mean, I think other companies are at minimum 5-6 years behind, but that doesn't mean that they can't accelerate and begin to catch up. I think but don't forget New Glenn. When New Glenn launches, guys, this thing is going there. This thing will be competitive and compete with Falcon Heavy payloads. So forget, ignoring Starship for now. Once that thing's operational, it's going to be competing with Falcon 9, outperforming Falcon 9, and competing with Falcon Heavy on their first orbital launch, and potentially at around the same price too, right? So they're catching up to what SpaceX is currently able to do, and even offering some payload things like the 7-meter fairing, dual payloads out to geostationary orbit. Some really big and impressive things are happening with New Glenn. So it's not like they're not just trying to catch up to the Falcon 9. They're leapfrogging Falcon 9 and competing with Falcon Heavy. And then there is talk of a rocket beyond that. And there is flight hardware that is in the works. Their launch pad is near completion. I do think they will hopefully launch New Glenn in 2021. How long before it's totally operational and flying and competing with Falcon Heavy will probably be more like mid-2022 or late 2022 at this point. And by then, Starship might be flying. It'll be really hard to catch up again, but they do have some contracts, and it will be a very competitive rocket compared to Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. So, yeah. Mark Allard says, with the growing number of objects orbiting Earth, are the launch windows getting smaller? Yes. Rocket Lab has commented that now with Starlink, it is actually becoming harder. They have to thread the needle more often between launch and make sure that they're avoiding them. And Starlink's not even operational yet, really. Starlink will have 10 times more satellites. So it might become an issue, or we'll have to make it a smarter way of actually, I don't know. There has to be some kind of solution there. Sorry, guys. My voice is dying. So the answer is, yeah, it is becoming a little bit more hard. And it's a consideration. And I don't know what the answer is to that. Andy Law says, Helen Sharman was a UK astronaut years before Tim Peake. See, there we go. Again, doesn't necessarily matter where you're from. Obviously, these are extraordinary people. But yeah, there is going to be more paths forward to getting, becoming an astronaut in the very near future as commercial, as the commercial crew program launches up and just commercial options for space tourism as they ramp up too. So yeah, it doesn't really matter anymore. It used to matter. Now it definitely doesn't. So, all right, guys, my throat is dying and I got to save a little bit of it here for the upcoming Crew 1 mission on Sunday. Again, we will have Crew 1. I'm wondering what that's going to do for the Rocket Lab launch, because that last I saw was on Sunday at 7:45 p.m., almost the exact same time. I will likely still be streaming SpaceX at that time, which is really sad because or maybe we shut it down and switch over to Rocket Lab quick. It might be hard. We might still be answering questions, but I really do. Maybe we do a co-stream. I know that's weird. I don't like doing that just as far as the feed goes. But wow, I really do want to see the Rocket Lab launch. This will be the first time they're attempting to splash down that they're actually attempting to splash down and recover the booster for the Electron rocket. So they are going to be pursuing reusability, and this is a big deal. From Corporal Daywalker again, we've decided in Discord that we need to make our own community CubeSat. Want to ask Elon to send it. You know what? Maybe that could be a possibility. Maybe that could be a possibility. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of cool things on the horizon. That we're probably not too far off from that at this point for the community. And Paul Clark, let's hope for greater diversity in spaceflight, ENG, and support diversity when they talk about their work. Wanted your views on their solids tonight. So the solids look to perform great. I don't really have. It seems pretty simple upgrade, pretty simple change out. If I didn't know that they were different solid rocket boosters, I wouldn't have known. So I really don't have that strong of an opinion on it. It looked like they performed great. They seem to have performed great, as you would expect for a solid rocket booster coming from Northrop Grumman. They obviously know how to do that. So yeah, it seems to be great. I'm glad that they went well, and it looks like the launch had gone swimmingly. So yeah, it's good because that is another checkoff item. Again, when Vulcan flies, by the time Vulcan flies, which is this middle one here, most of the things will have flown at some point on the Atlas V. So that is awesome. So there you go. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Again, if you want to join us this weekend and get some extra access and some more direct screen time and stuff like that, head on over to patreon.com/everydayastronaut. You can hang out in our Discord channel. Hi, Discord. Love you guys. And you'll probably be seeing me losing my mind a little bit in the upcoming script and research section as I'm working on finalizing, hopefully, the Soviet rocket engine video that I'm so excited for. Really, this is my, I don't know what that word is for like something that's really, that you're, like, it's like my thesis or something, you know, this is a big deal. So I'm really excited for it. So hopefully I get some time to work on it here tonight still and tomorrow and even on Sunday leading up to the launch. So join me again on Sunday. It's going to be a big day. Get your butts in here, mark it on your calendar. Sunday night, Crew 1, the first operational launch of the Dragon capsule, and the first one that's FAA certified. This is no longer a demonstration. This is a mission. 4 humans going to space. Very exciting stuff. Can't wait to see it. So join me on Sunday, and hopefully you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's going to do it for me. I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, bringing space down to Earth for everyday people. Goodbye, everybody.